I'm Osceola County Sheriff Russ Gibson, and I wanted to give you the latest update on the death investigation that occurred at 202 Reserve Place in Celebration. I just want you to keep in mind that this is still very much an active investigation, and I'm going to attempt to answer your questions at the end of this, but there are still some things that I won't be able to divulge at this time. On January 13th, 2020, Osceola County Sheriff's deputies responded to 2002 Reserve Place in Celebration to assist federal agents from the Department of Health and Human Services in serving a federal arrest warrant for Anthony Todt. Anthony Todt's date of birth is September 29th, 1975. Deputies made contact with Anthony in the home along with federal agents and he was immediately detained. A safety check of the home was conducted where deputies discovered 4 deceased individuals inside. The home was immediately secured and a search warrant was obtained by our detectives. Detectives and forensic investigators began their investigation and crime scene processing. The medical examiner's office also responded to the scene and an autopsy was done the following day. The reports of the autopsy determined that the cause of death of the 4 decedents inside the home to be homicide. Anthony has cooperated with the investigation and he has confessed to killing his wife, Megan Todt, 42 years of age, whose date of birth is January 28th, 1977, and their 3 children. Alec Todt, 13 years of age, born September 26, 2006. Tyler Todt, 11 years of age, born December 30th, 2008. And Zoe Todt, who was 4 years of age, born July 23rd, 2015. Anthony also killed their family dog, Breezy. Anthony has been arrested on a warrant obtained by our detectives today for multiple counts of homicide and 1 count of felony animal cruelty. We're still waiting on positive identification of the 4 deceased persons recovered in the home by the medical examiner's office. But based on our investigation and the suspect's statements, we strongly believe that they are that of Megan, Alec, Tyler, and Zoe. Based on the initial investigation to include the suspect's statements, the deaths have been determined to have occurred sometime towards the end of December. Throughout the course of this investigation, our agency has been in close communication with the family of the victims, and we've also worked very closely, as you can imagine, with the medical examiner's office as well as our state attorney's office. This investigation is ongoing, and we will continue to work to gather all evidence as it presents itself. I can tell you on December 29th, 2019, our office received a request by a family member of Anthony Todt, who resides outside the state of Florida, to check the well-being of the Todt family because she had been told that they all had the flu and she had not heard from them in 2 days. Deputies did respond to the home, check the home and the area, but they were not successful in their attempts to contact anyone inside the home and did not observe anything suspicious. On January 9th, 2020, the Sheriff's Office was contacted by federal agents concerning an investigation that they were conducting involving Anthony Todt. Deputies from that point made several attempts to make contact with Anthony and the family over this past weekend with negative results. While deputies were at the home and after thoroughly checking the property, there was no answer, and again, nothing suspicious noted at the home. As Sheriff of Osceola County, it brings me great sadness to report, such a tragedy. And we grieve along with the victim's family and friends, along with the community, for this tragic loss of innocent lives. Myself, I cannot understand what would cause a person to commit such evil and horrendous acts. But I can say that if there's any one person or any family out there that's going through a crisis or a difficult situation, there's help out there for you. Organizations and an entire community such as ours that would do anything necessary to help to prevent any sort of tragedy such as this one. There's so many people and organizations ready to help, such as the National Hope Line Network at 1-800-442-4673, or the crisis text line at 741-741. I just want to thank our deputies, our detectives, crime scene investigators, communication officers, and anyone else who had anything to do with this investigation up until this point to preserve and collect all the evidence required. Thank you. I also want to thank the residents of Celebration for their understanding with some street closures. It was a little bit of inconvenience for them, but under the circumstances, we thank you for being patient and being there for us when we needed you the most. I'd also like to thank the members of the media who covered this tragic case with dignity and professionalism, understanding that sometimes certain parts of the investigation, there are times when we can't release certain information. We need to preserve the integrity of the investigation and the case as it stands. And we want to work very hard to put as good a case together as we possibly can. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Sheriff, you said that your deputies went there on December 29th at the request of the family to check on the Todds. Do you believe that Megan and the kids were already there?
Well, according to our investigation, and according to his statements, it was sometimes towards the end of December that he said that he had killed his family. So there's a possibility of that. Yes, ma'am.
Why did your deputies not go back after December 29th until you received the request from the feds on January 9th?
Well, the question is, why didn't we go back after December 29th to check on the family? And this was a request from a family member who believed that the family may have the flu. We go there to check that. We did not notice anything suspicious. It's not uncommon for us not to go back out to the house a second time, a third time, if we don't hear back from the family. Everything is, of course, a part of a record, and we want to make sure that they're safe and secure. But if there's nothing noted suspicious, there wouldn't be a reason to go back to the house to check on somebody that may, have the flu, or they just haven't heard from them in a couple days.
So Mr. Todt answered the door during that well-being check, or nobody answered?
I'm sorry, Stephanie?
During that well-being check, it was Mr. Todt who answered the door?
During the well-being, answered the door. The deputy walked around the house, checked with neighbors. The blinds of the home was closed, and so nothing suspicious was noted, and therefore, they didn't enter the home, obviously. Yes, sir.
Sir, has he during the investigation, has he given any reason why he may have done this?
Not to me, or that I've been made aware of at this time, but that could be something that would come out at a later date. Yes, he is cooperating with the investigation, I can tell you that much.
Did he say how he killed them?
No, he did not say how he killed him to me. I'm sure like I said, he's cooperating with the investigation. The manner of death, of course, is a homicide. The cause of death will be determined after this investigation.
Where were the bodies found?
They were found inside the home, but other than that, I couldn't tell you the exact locations of where each body was located.
Why was he being investigated by the federal agency? Does it have anything to do with him killing his family?
No, it doesn't have anything to do with the murder of his family members or their family pet. He was being investigated for an unknown reason to me while I stand here in front of you today, but he was being investigated by the local authorities in Connecticut, talking about the FBI or the health department up there for the federal agency. It wasn't something that was occurring here in Florida. It was something that was occurring up there in Connecticut.
Did he show any remorse for what he did?
I don't know if he said he was sorry or if he apologized. I just know that I was told that he is cooperating with the investigation.
Does your evidence show anything that you can indicate as far as how this family died?
It does show how the family died, but I want to wait for the coroner or the pathologist to make those final determinations. I don't want to put words in their mouths.
So, Sheriff, when your deputies went there on Monday at the request of the federal agency, it was to serve this warrant, correct?
That is correct.
And how many of your deputies went, and did you have reason to believe he might be dangerous?
I did not know. I don't know how many deputies responded. Usually at least 2 will go to a scene such as that, and we were there for backup. In case they needed assistance or help. The federal agency was the lead on this. It was their warrant. They called and asked us to respond to the home. We did so. And then contact was made with Anthony Todt inside the home.
Have you had any calls in response to that home before, or involvement with his family before?
That I'm aware of, it wasn't until the attempt to contact started in December 29th.
You said you had him killed by the end of December, so do you think the bodies were there since ever since. I mean, and when you guys there, you said you guys didn't see anything suspicious. If there were dead bodies in December, they didn't notice any like bad odor, like smell?
Well, being a homicide investigator, that's formally, that's not something that's uncommon, especially during the daytime. So it's not unreasonable to believe that the bodies were there based on what we've seen in the home and based on his statements. It does appear as if, you know, that timeline matches. So yes, the bodies were inside the home the entire time until we located them on Monday.
Did anyone report a smell at all?
No, there was no reports of odors in the air, nothing. I know that when they were there on the 9th, deputies were there, they said that they had checked with neighbors to see if there was anything, and there was nothing suspicious noted by neighbors either.
Sheriff, why was Tony Todt taken to the hospital, and was there a little bit of a delay before he was arrested? What happened?
He may have ingested some dosage of Benadryl, exactly. It slipped my mind. Something for allergies. And he also made comments of potentially harming himself. And so we took him to the hospital as a precautionary measure because we didn't know how many he may have taken. So hold on one second. In the back?
That was my question. He tried to hurt himself, no?
He did take some pills, and he was transported to the hospital. He was just released this morning.
So it's gonna be a case of murder-suicide case, but he didn't have any luck trying to harm himself.
He's still alive.
Was that done when you guys got to the scene, or had he tried to do that the day before or earlier in the day, or was it?
I don't know at what point he took the pills. I don't believe it was in front of the deputies or the federal agents that were present. It was something that he had mentioned to them. That's what I was told.
Where is
Can you
Mr. Todd right
explain-
now?
Can you explain how a deputy does a well-being check? Can you kind of walk us through the steps?
We get a call to do a well-being check, and in this case, it was for a family possibly having the flu, being down and out for a couple of days. It's not uncommon this time of the year. People are encouraged to get their flu shots and so forth. They would go there, knock on the door. If there wasn't an answer, they might walk around the home to look inside the home if there was any blinds open to see if they can see anything inside. They did so in this case. They checked that. The blinds were closed. There was nothing suspicious noted. They checked with some neighbors. They didn't get anything suspicious from them. This family was known to travel. So it wasn't uncommon to think or even have a thought in your mind that they could have picked up and went to Clearwater or to Cocoa Beach for the day or for a week. This is a person who, Anthony Todt, had his practice that he did physical therapy, I believe, in Connecticut. He worked when he was working up there Monday through Friday, and he would come here on the weekends to be with his family, who had been living down here for the past couple years, give or take. So it's not uncommon for these folks to be known to pick up and go someplace. So it didn't rise to a level of suspicion. And, you know, lots of people had mentioned to me, you know, why didn't you just kick the door down? And there's an element of privacy. Your home is your castle. And for us to have entered that home illegally for illegal purposes, anything that we would find in the home could be excluded from a potential criminal case. It's a fruit from a forbidden tree. You know, you're not allowed to, if you get this fruit and you weren't allowed to have this fruit, then you can't keep the fruit or eat the fruit. So in this case, if we just kicked the door down and did things besides what our law says, we could lose everything in a court of law, and we don't want to do that. And that's why when deputies did a cursory check of the home, found the 4 decedents inside, they immediately backed off. They went outside the home, they secured the scene, and the detectives went and obtained a search warrant to make it a legal search and to make this case as strong as it possibly can be.
Where is Anthony Todt and what's his status? What charges made?
He's still talking to detectives in the violent crimes unit upstairs. Transported shortly to the Osceola County Jail.
One last question.
Sheriff, documents that we're going through on the Montalvo case show that there's nothing in there that says how she was killed or where she was killed or who killed her. Can you tell us, do you know who killed her or how she was killed?
Well, I think just based on the information that I released today on 4 people dying, I'm not going to talk about the Montalvo case when we're talking about this tragedy and celebration. But that is a great question, and it's something that we're happy to answer at another time. You know, our hearts go out to the family and friends of these decedents. You know, 3 children and a mother has lost their lives at the hands of a husband and supposed father and their dog. This is despicable, and cannot be tolerated anywhere in the United States of America, let alone Osceola County, Florida. And that's why we will work tirelessly and have. Our teams are dedicated to the safety and security of the residents of Osceola County, and we will do that because it is a calling that we received, we believe, from the good Lord above, to make sure that these people, when they decide to commit these heinous acts, are held accountable. And that's all we want to do, is do our jobs to make sure that our people, our residents, feel safe and secure in our county. If you're here and you need law enforcement, we're going to be there, regardless of your race, sex, color, or creed. We will take care of you. And we will work these cases to the end. And I don't take no for an answer when it comes down to certain things. And we're going to receive, just prosecution the way that it should be in a case such as this. So thank you for coming, and we'll update you at another time.